Daily Stormer. Daily Stormer, one of the best websites. Daily Stormer is basically like the Kids Bop version of Stormfront. Like Stormfront is just like a super racist, boring forum. But Daily Stormer, they got pictures. They got graphs. They got, what the fuck? Wait. Holy shit, demographic countdown. It has a live countdown of the number of white people that exist in the world. So you know how you used to play Call of Duty as a kid and it would give you like the real stats of how many people were playing multiplayer, how many people were playing zombies? The Daily Stormer bought or employed a dedicated data science team to basically run experiments and research to know how many white people exist. And they actually have it here. As you can see, it is updating live with the percentage of white people in the world. And it looks like it's trending downward. I don't know what they can do with their experimentation and their data set to make it go upward, but I'm not interested in that right now. I mean, listen, all props to Daily Stormer. You know, you basically have education and entertainment mixed into one. This is basically PBS on a different scale. I appreciate it, but I can't look at numbers right now. I'm trying to take a break. As you can see right here, fresh off the presses from July of 2020, the hero we deserve, Catboy Kami. Now, if you don't know who Catboy Kami is, he's basically one of the greatest comedians of our generation. He's probably one of the funniest people I've ever seen. I mean, if you don't believe me, go ahead and take a look at this. That's fucking hilarious. Dude put on yellow makeup. He took dentine ice and put it on his teeth to make buck teeth. And you might look at this and you might get a little confused and say, okay, yellow face, buck teeth, is this SpongeBob? No. Look at that Ronin hat, my friend. That Ronin hat pulls everything together. That makes you say, this is obviously a Chinese person. Catboy Kami does it again. He's a fucking master of disguise. He literally looks like fucking Jim Carrey's The Mask. Like, he looks fucking crazy, insane. But I can't hate. He's fucking hilarious. He is super fucking based. Lil B ain't got shit on Catboy Kami. God bless this guy. This guy's a fucking genius. He's literally one of the best people in the world, and I love him. Alright, was that a good enough performance? Is that good enough to get me, like, more likes than dislikes? Because word on the street is that wingdings, wignots, what the fuck? What did this guy say in one of my videos? He said, we have a video talking about wignots, unironic Nazis, mostly Gen Z and millennials. Dude, I literally made this video about Catboy Kami like a year ago, and I didn't even really, like, talk that much shit about the guy. Like, all I said was that he was a Russian internet star, which he fucking is. If you go to this Daily Stormer article, there's literally memes made with fucking Russian words. Like, I don't know what the fuck this is. Well, actually, I do want what this is. It's 2 words. Super based. But still, it's in fucking Russian. It's still in Russian. Dude, that's a crazy Photoshop job. What the fuck? But I basically, all I said was Catboy Kami was a racist edgelord humor enthusiast, which he was. He basically would say fucking the N-word every 5 minutes. And when I say N-word, I'm talking about, like, nigger with a hard R. I make that distinction because sometimes, you know, comedians will say nigga or just get some shit off. No, this guy was going for the fucking edge, bro. Like, he took that samurai sword and kept sharpening that shit until he get the hard ERs out. So, all I did was make an observation about the guy. I was like, all right, this is kind of cringe. This is kind of a little too edgy. I don't know why people love it so much. But people came out in droves, ready for war. Left-wing coat moment. That's fucking hilarious, the left-wing coat moment. People came out in droves, salty as fuck, like I just attacked their Christ and Savior. And as I read through the comments, as I read a little bit more, learned a little bit more about Catboy Kami, I realized that a lot of people actually take this guy seriously as like a political commentator, as like a person that is someone to respect and listen to. And when I say respect and listen to, I just basically mean that they use him as a puppet piece and use him as an example of someone to like look up to. And the reason why I say that is because I found one video which, like, the title caught my attention. Catboy Kami achieved social greatness while people tried to destroy him. That sounds like a fucking, like, publicist from the Republic of China from, like, fucking Mao Zedong's day wrote that shit. That is fucking crazy. But one of the videos I found was a unironic take that Catboy Kami was presenting, and it has since been removed from YouTube. And the reason why it was removed from YouTube is because it actually advocated for pretty much plain and simple genocide. He went on some crazy ass fucking rant basically saying that
I am way more red-pilled than my parents. And what does that mean fundamentally? It means that I am more racially conscious than my parents, right? If the Jews said, oh, leave Kami's parents because they're one of the good ones, they don't really care so much about this race stuff, then what's going to happen? Generation later, they have me, and I am way more racially conscious than they are. See the problem? You leave one of the good ones, they're still fucking Jewish. So when they have children, or their children have children, eventually you're going to have the same fucking problem that you have now of these people that are extremely racially conscious, extremely biased towards their in-group, as you should expect everyone to be.
A Jewish people that maybe you think they're good, maybe they're not on some crazy Zionist shit, eventually they're going to have a child, and magically through their fucking Jewish genes, they're going to obviously hate white people and hate other groups and want to take over the world, like some Pinky and Brain shit. Like, they're basically, like, they're literally going to fucking some way, somehow figure out through genetic fucking coding that they need to take over the fucking world. Like it's Emperor fucking Zed. Like, they need to fucking do this shit. But, first of all, this is fucking insane. Like, I watched that video, and I thought he was joking at first, but after he was very serious, and he was replying to people in the chat, and the people in the comments were getting their shit off saying, like, Catboy Kami is a fucking big brain individual, I was perplexed, I was confused, mostly because of the fact that the two bases that Catboy Kami, you know, pretty much builds his arguments on is, one, eugenics, which has already been disproven, that's not a legitimate science, and then two is this idea of group evolutionary strategy or group evolutionary theory. This is something that is a part of the 3-book anti-Semitic series by Kevin MacDonald. Kevin MacDonald pretty much tried his best to overdo and outdo, really, fucking Martin Luther's The Jews and Their Lies. He basically was like, listen, Luther, I love you, you're a great guy, I know you made Protestantism and everything and you're on some crazy anti-Semitic shit, but hold my fucking beer and watch me go off. Because basically what Kevin MacDonald says and does in these pieces, a lot of his argument is based off of the fact that he believes that Jewish people, specifically, he looks at them and says, these group of people like to live amongst themselves, they like to be very inclusive, they like to be very private, and he pretty much singles out Jewish people. He doesn't ever talk about, you know, the fucking crazy Mormons in Utah that only live amongst themselves and don't talk to anyone else. He doesn't talk about the fucking Amish people in Pennsylvania that refuse to use electricity and just live by themselves. He just focuses on Jewish people for the most part and says, look, these people are very inclusive, they're very private, they don't want to fuck with the outside world, and then takes this observation and then spins it like a fucking piece of pizza dough into a beautiful fucking pizza that is presented as anti-Semitism to say that obviously this is group evolutionary theory and eventually these Jewish people will, you know, squat up, be like fucking O-Block, come together and want to create a group that eradicates all other groups and only props up their own group and says, you know, this is natural evolution, people want to live amongst their own and care for their own and look for the downfall of others. Crazy fucking subjective jump from an observation to that point, and Catboy Kami basically uses that, and people who subscribe to his ideology use that as a basis for the strength of them basically advocating for genocide, because obviously we're all in our own group, you know, white people only look out for white people only care about their own quote-unquote group, thus then we need to eradicate others. Now, first of all, this is a baseless argument. This is something that is not proven. I mean, these are, like, he literally takes observations through, like, the anthropological process and then jumps to some crazy anti-Semitic shit. So, just off the rip, that's crazy and baseless, and that's something that really doesn't make much sense. And honestly, if you were to look at Catboy Kami's debate skills, if you've ever seen the video of him in Destiny, I'll put it in the description. It's basically him just saying a bunch of memes, and he doesn't even know his fucking white supremacist shit right, because he basically trips up and needs help by others, and eventually he just resorts to ad hominem remarks and making fun of Destiny for having his girlfriend fuck other dudes or something like that. I have no idea. And honestly, I do know that Destiny has like an open relationship, but it's kind of cringe that in the middle of a debate, like if you're debating someone and you're like, yeah, I think that nuclear energy should be allowed because we have a safe way of getting rid of waste and we can provide more cheap energy to the world. And then the other dude looks at it and he goes, yo, don't you let your girl fuck other dudes? Don't you let your girl go out and fuck other guys? What a cuck, what a weirdo, It's like, dude, holy shit. Like, you really have to go in fucking left field, jump over the fucking fence and go in the parking lot just to get your point off and try to derail the conversation. Like, that's beyond cringe, and it's at the point of, like, just wave the fucking white flag and say, I don't know what I'm talking about, get me out of this fucking discussion. But more on this point of genocide, more on this point of this idea of us versus them, this whole extreme racist ideology that some people, it seems like some young people even subscribe to it, because there are people who are unironically neo-fucking Nazis. It's crazy. Like, it's literally insane, and it's something that oddly puts so much emphasis on genetics. It oddly puts so much emphasis on ethnicity, race, and completely ignores the power of ideologies, the power of coexistence, the power of assimilation. Like, I actually, in one of these videos, and even more recently, I made a thread on 4chan. You know me, I like to go to 4chan, just start arguing with motherfuckers. And this is a reoccurring thing when people want to bring up, like, racist tendencies. They try to say that other people are lesser. Like, people will always bring up this fucking IQ meme and be like, dude, don't you know that African Americans have, like, an average IQ of 80, dude? Obviously, that's why they're fucking violent. Obviously, that's why they deserve to be fucking, scourge of society. First of all, IQ is a pure and simple fucking meme. The guy who created IQ test literally made it so that he could do like a quick aptitude test of troops joining the military. That's it. That's the whole point of it. Do a quick fucking checkpoint to see how people think and how they react to certain things, just to get an idea of how people think. Now, and let's just say that IQ tests were legit. They're not. They're not used in job interviews. They're not used, for college admissions, etc. Let's say that, IQ tests are legit. They're flawless. It is what it is. The whole point of an IQ test and the reason why it exists and what it stands for and what it, like, pretty much symbolizes is saying that if you have a higher IQ point, you're essentially more likely to grasp information and knowledge. Like, it doesn't mean you're smart. It just means that you're more likely to absorb information. So it's like, if you're fucking born with an IQ of 150, you don't come out the fucking womb knowing about classical Greece and the classical Republic of Rome, and you're a fucking genius. You already know calculus. You already know pre-calculus, etc., etc. You might be able to learn that a little bit faster. You may be able to absorb that information, but it doesn't mean that by default you're a genius. Everyone else is lesser than you. Like this IQ shit is almost used as a fucking pseudo caste system. Like, this is like that old school feudal bullshit where it's like, obviously I was born into the Lord Regents, thus then I am born for royalty, and you were born into the fucking peasant fucking clan and peasant class, so obviously you were destined to be there for the rest of your life, and your children and your children's children. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just think about Dragon Ball Z and Bardock and Vegeta, how Vegeta was part of the royal legions of Saiyans and Bardock was the fucking, like, the oppressed group of Saiyans. Think about it like that. That's basically the shit I just said. But repeatedly people will bring up this idea of IQ and this idea of people either being super smart or super dumb. And I think that this is, not only is it not true, but it's also a dangerous perspective, because it basically is used as a tool to exclude certain people, and it's used to basically say that it's us versus them. We can't have those people included because they're them and we're us. And I gave an example and said, like, listen, there are certain cases where, whether it be black people, Asian people, Mexican people, etc., there were racist legislation and decisions made in this country, in America specifically, whether it be the Chinese Exclusion Act, the Naturalization Clause of 1792, which basically said if you're not white, you can't be a citizen, eventually with segregation and Jim Crow laws. And specifically, I looked at this case of Ozawa versus United States. In 1922, there was a Supreme Court case where Ozawa was basically going to the Supreme Court to say, listen, I would like to be citizen of the United States. And he further went on to say that my honesty and industriousness are well known amongst my Japanese and American friends. In name, Benedict Arnold was an American, but at heart he was a traitor. In name, I am not an American, but at heart I am a true American. First of all, this is like a beautiful line. Like, this guy was getting fucking bars off. He was basically saying Benedict Arnold, he was European, but he betrayed America, and his ideologies led him astray to go against America and become a British loyalist. I, Ozawa, a Japanese man, live in America, subscribe to the ideology, subscribe to the society. I'm a business owner. I want to help my community. I want to be a citizen along with my other friends and people of society. And obviously the Supreme Court did the right thing. They basically told Ozawa, listen, right now the only people who can be a citizen is white people, and through some magic of amendments, black people, Japanese people, you can't be citizens right now. So Ozawa, go ahead and go fuck yourself. So this is a great example of, like, you're literally subjugating some person because of their genetic makeup. You're like, oh, damn, you're from Japan. I know you own a business. I know you're trying to do the best for your community. I know you're trying to be a good old nice person, but unfortunately, my friend, you cannot be a citizen. And things like this is what leads to ostracization. Things like this is what leads to subjugation. And a lot of times we look at, racism, and we look at kind of this unfair policy as something that is, one, unfair, and two, kind of goes against the tenets of the laws that we subscribe to, in the sense of if you're thinking of this in the sense of like a John Locke society where we all give up certain rights and responsibilities and join in together in one society, or even a more specific example of being a United States citizen and a citizen of this nation, you're basically protected under the 14th Amendment's equal opportunity deliverance of the law. You're basically protected to say you're an equal participant in the society. And that if you aren't, you're basically being treated unfairly. It's not nice, and it's not nice to do that to people. A lot of times it's in that lens that we look at individuals who are subjugated as basically being the victim, which in some cases they are. But one thing that I think is extremely dangerous and should be brought up in the same conversation is that when we do this to certain people in society, when we subjugate, when we basically cast these individuals out of our group and say you're not allowed to participate, we only hurt ourselves. We as a people, we as human beings, we as Americans, we as anyone, basically rely on each other. It's through our coexistence and through our partnership that we are able to create better production and do better work. I mean, right now, like the buzzword in corporations is diversity inclusion, and as much as that is an annoying meme said by corporations just to get more people through the door and hire people, there is some facts behind it. There is some truth behind it. The more diverse of a workforce you have. Now, when I say diverse, some people say, oh, that's a diversity hire. This person isn't qualified, and they're only in there because of their genetic makeup, basically racist policies. I haven't seen that personally. The idea being behind this is that you want to have people who are equally qualified for the job, if possible, have a diverse makeup so that you have different people from different backgrounds, different viewpoints that all can do the job. They can all get the mission done, but they might do it in different ways. They may solve the problem in different manners. And that eventually leads to better partnership, better collaboration, and a better product created. Because the whole idea is, for most companies, is that you want to create some product that is then widely accepted by people. And if you have a product that is built by a subset of society, that will then more than likely lead to a better acceptance in society. So for example, let's just say if there was more people that worked at Google that weren't fucking assholes and like killed their products every 6 months, maybe we would still have Google Play Music and more people will be happy. But instead we have dog shit YouTube music. Imagine if Google hired some people who weren't brain dead to make their products. Isn't that great? You need diversity and you need inclusion. As in, include some people that know what the fuck they're doing. But I digress. I'm gonna leave Google out of this, okay? They're a great company. I still use Chrome. I can't talk shit. But in all reality, like really, like what makes society and what makes humanity great is all these moments in time where we expanded and included other people. Like, for example, there was this video of that was removed from YouTube. This is a thread from it where I basically was just arguing with this guy about, genocide isn't cool, racism is bad. And he wanted to say, the IQ meme, obviously people who aren't white aren't as smart, they don't want to go in STEM fields, And I basically said, listen, first of all, that's not true, because we had the fucking scientific revolution, the golden age of the Arab era, where they brought algebra, science, math, same thing that we had in the Renaissance, where the Renaissance actually was fueled by the Turks in the East, basically funding the knowledge in the West. Basically, during the Renaissance, there was a lot of information that was brought to the Italy through trade, just basically operations of, hey, we want some art, we want some shit, here, let's trade, let's work together, and let's have some type of cooperation, which then led to Renaissance. Like, literally, fucking Botticelli's dome was something that was recapturing old classical era Roman architecture and Roman math, and that was brought about by documents and information that was taken by, or actually given by the Turks. It was basically just people working together and ending up building something that was better because there was more cooperation and more collaboration. Same thing you can look at in terms of the Greek Empire. Alexander the Great, one of his life accomplishments is his eastward march into India, and through that process, including people and basically exposing them to the Greek culture, which then led to the Hellenistic period, a period of time where people in the East basically embraced Greek culture, Greek ideology, and then led to an explosion of people accepting this new ideology, this new culture, which then led to more production, which then led to more people, more minds, all subscribing to the same ideology and working towards similar goals. So to say that a certain group of people don't deserve, to basically... So if this guy was basically saying, I don't want my daughter marrying some Arab or some fucking black person or someone with a low IQ. Again, IQ is a meme. It's based off your resources, environment, and really your upbringing what can determine your success in life usually. I mean, that's not a set in stone fact, but that's more important than a person's fucking genetic makeup. And another thing that I brought up with this is, what's funny, I actually brought up specifically a video of Lex Friedman, and I brought it up just basically to say, you know, it's not good to subjugate people. And this dude actually responded. He's like, hey, by the way, thanks for linking that podcast. It was actually really good, which was fucking weird because this guy went from arguing in mega fucking essays to at the very end, he's like, you know, listen, we might not see eye to eye, but that was a good ass podcast. But basically what I was referencing is this doctor, this man who has a PhD in fucking plasma science, Alexander Friedman. He's a Jewish, at the moment American, but he used to live in the USSR as a child. And he was explaining to his son that as a child, he had to jump through more hoops, he had to go through more bullshit just because of his background, just because of his fucking genetics. Because he was Jewish and not ethno-Russian, he had to deal with certain bullshit. He had to deal with basically having to outperform other people on tests just to get to the next grade. He actually explained that at some point in time he was going to be on the Math Olympics and he was going to represent his country and go out, and at the last second his visa got revoked. And the reason why that happened is that he thought that was because he was being treated than other kids because he was Jewish, and if he were to fight it and try to say something, he basically would have been punished. But let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that Russia was even more austere. Russia was even more strict and said, you know what, Alexander Friedman, you're Jewish, therefore, thus then, we're going to go back to the fucking old school ways of the feudal order, the bullshit chain of existence. You are destined to work in the coal mines. You're not allowed to go to school. You're not allowed to go to university. You're going to go in the fucking coal mines, and you're never going to go out of there. By law, you're not allowed to attend school. What does that lead to? That leads to this person not being able to... Now, by some miracle, he may have gone to school and gone to college and went on the same path, but granted, it would have been a lot harder. You now are stealing from the world a doctor, someone who has a PhD, someone who is educating others, someone who's doing plasma research for the intensive purpose of cancer treatment and health treatment. You're literally robbing the world of this individual who can help you because you don't like his makeup, you don't like the way he looks, you don't like the way he acts, you don't like his background, his religion, etc. It is so fucking ignorant. It is so fucking stupid. And I think that people need to realize the stupidity in this theory of racism, the stupidity in this idea of us versus them. Listen, if you don't like fucking liberal agendas, if you don't like conservative agendas, if you don't like certain ideologies, if you don't like certain political theories, there's no problem with that, but don't go on a fucking rant and say that, oh, all Jewish people need to be destroyed, all these people need to get BTFO'd, because what's important is a person's ideology, what's important is what they believe in, what they are contributing to society, what they basically are making up as a larger collective, and obviously I'm not saying that everyone needs to have a PhD and be a fucking big brain in order to exist in society. You know, we still need fucking people to do other jobs, garbage men, people who do public works, and that's not to put them down. We need that. You need those people. So really, at the end of the day, I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe don't advocate for genocide. Maybe don't go down that route. What else did we learn? Maybe don't go fucking super ultra ethno alt-white, alt-right white, where you fucking hate groups and don't want to work with them just because of their upbringing. And we also learned that New Replicant has a ridiculous farming grind, and it is annoying as fuck.
If you want to get your point across, you could either spend an hour in the gym or an hour trying to read books or something, or trying to develop your ability to speak and give arguments. You would monumentally get more results from doing the gym rather than doing the reading and learning how to have better rhetoric. Physical attractiveness is the best possible rhetoric that you could ever hope to have.
At the end of every single video, make sure you ask people to rate and subscribe to your content. It makes them feel like they're involved even though they're really not. And most importantly, make sure they comment on every single video. If you have to, disguise it. You know, call it something like the question of the day. And really make them think you're gonna really read it when you really don't have to. Ha ha ha!